Alright, so out here in the fish room, cleaning stuff up, taking care of some stuff, and it makes me think, great video opportunity here. Let's make a video about this thing that you may have in your fish room that can kill your fish without you even knowing it. Something that you wouldn't think about killing your fish. Something that just gets on you, gets on a net, moves to the next tank, and takes over. Duckweed. Okay, I hear you laughing. Duckweed's going to kill your fish. Yeah, it's going to reach out, grab it, strangle it, sting it, and kill the fish. Duckweed can kill your fish. Not like that though. Not exactly. So, floating plants in general can kill your fish. That's why I'm at a war in this fish room with floating plants. I'm indiscriminately at war with all floating plants. Whether it's wolfia, giant duckweed, sylvania, water lettuce, even guppy grass when it floats, hornwort. All floating plants are public enemy number one in the fish room. So, an example, like in the wild, of floating plants killing fish is in Lake Victoria. In Lake Victoria, the hyacinth, however you say that word, is an invasive species. It's a floating plant, a popular pond plant, and because it's so hardy and prolific in the warmer areas, a lot of areas have it illegal now. Like Florida, it's heavily controlled and illegal to have that plant there. But in Lake Victoria, it's got in the lake, and it has covered the surface of the lake that you can almost walk on the surface of the lake. It's made it difficult in areas for boats to travel. But what it does, and this is what duckweed and other floating plants can do in your aquarium, is it blocks out the sunlight, or in your aquarium, the overhead light. It keeps food items. In the wild, it would be like insects. In your aquarium, it'd be feeding them. It keeps the food items from getting into the water, so the fish aren't able to eat. It stops the air, the movement of air into the water. So like the surface agitation and stuff, how you have the air transfer, you have that thick layer of plant matter on top of the water, so you don't get the transfer of air between atmospheric air and the water. And because it's knocked out the sunlight, this is the case in Lake Victoria, because it's knocked out the sunlight, the sorry, had to pause it there, got a little distracted. A couple female guppies decided to savagely attack a Neocaridina shrimp. I have never seen that before. I mean, the shrimps just walked along, and the guppies acted like a pair in a pack of wolves just came up and ambushed it, and wow. Okay, back on topic. If I can remember where I was. So, the floating plants block out the light, which causes other plants in the aquarium to die off, or in the lake to die off, creates the ammonia to go up. Then you've got ammonia and bacterial issues and stuff in your aquarium, or in the lake in this case. And there's no air transfer, or reduced air transfer from the atmospheric air into the water. and food items from outside of the water, such as insects or you feeding your fish, isn't making it into the aquarium or into the lake in the example that we're using. So that's the main way that duckweed, floating plants in general, can kill your fish. And maybe not just one little piece, but one piece of duckweed is never just one piece of duckweed. One piece of duckweed will become 50 pieces of duckweed, become 1,000 pieces of duckweed. And especially if you have them working in combination, say you have some guppy grass in there, and the duckweed starts collecting on the guppy grass that's floating around and creates a larger mat. And then you get a little hair algae in there that kind of binds it all together and gives it more area for the duckweed to cling on to. And you get a large, thick mat of red root floaters and duckweed and guppy grass and hair algae and everything just matted all together where nothing can get through it. Fish can't get up to get surface air, which is another issue if you got labyrinth fish. Air can't get from the atmosphere down into the water. Your food, when you sprinkle flake food, just sits right on top of that mat, and none of it can get to the fish. Not to mention, you know, your nitrogen cycle of having to break down the ammonia and stuff in the aquarium isn't working as well because of the lack of oxygen and air transfer between the atmospheric air and the water. Sorry, the guppies are at it again. I'm gonna have to do something about this tank. So, I'm at war with floating plants here in the fish room. I'm not saying, oh, only wolfia is bad, or only duckweed is bad, or only red root floaters is bad. If it floats, it's out of here. I pulled buckets and buckets of guppy grass and hornwort. I'm getting bags and bags of duckweed, wolfia, everything I can out of here. I'm using pumps, power heads, wave makers to turbulate the, is turbulate even a word? To agitate the surface area of the water, because that makes it harder for floating plants to reproduce, using nets, arms, hands, everything that I can to manually remove said floating plants, and looking into skimmer opportunities as well. So I know there's a lot of people that like floating plants and a lot of people that hate floating plants. Some people want to discriminate and say, oh, this floating plant is good, but that floating plant is bad. The one with the red on it is okay, even though it does the exact same thing as the one that has no red. For me, right now, all floating plants are bad, and when I take care of the issue and get rid of the hazard to my fish, then I will look again at selectively introducing floating plants potentially. So what is your thoughts on floating plants, duckweed? You know, Salvinia okay, but wolfia is bad. But red root floaters is good. Or is it? What do you think about the whole situation? Do you have tips on getting rid of duckweed? You know, you can see some on the glass here. Probably some floating around in the tank where I'm trying to stir it up. Let me know in the comments what you think. Your suggestions on the duckweed situation. And yeah, we'll catch you next time, and I'm gonna see if I can take care of these guppy hunting pack down here. Savage guppies. All right. So I'll see you next time. If you haven't subscribed, hit the little button, the bell, all that good stuff, and see you later.